Welcome to my video about how to grow your online coaching business. So in this video, I'm going to talk about a mix of short and long-term strategies to grow your online coaching business. And I'm going to dive pretty deeply into one foundational thing that you can do that's going to pay off for the next few years or even decades. So the strategies that you choose to grow your online coaching business are probably going to depend a lot on what kind of business we're talking about. For example, it's one thing if you have a one-on-one coaching business versus a group business versus an information products business versus a membership or subscription program. So there are lots of different types of businesses, and what I'm going to focus on here is mostly, but not really only, for people who have a one-on-one coaching practice or a group coaching practice, although you can apply some of these topics to the other types of coaching businesses. And by the way, if you don't even know what kind of model you have yet, or if you're in the transition process of figuring out a new model, then check out my playlist all about online business and online coaching businesses and how to choose a model for that and how to make more money. All right, so let's go. So the first thing you want to think about, even before you think about marketing strategies, is to go a layer deeper than strategies. I call this the identity layer. See, what I've discovered is that if you get too caught up in the strategic or really tactical aspect of marketing, you can end up spinning your wheels and spending a lot of years running around chasing coaching business. What I found works better, especially online, is for you to instead build what I call the butterfly garden. Now, the butterfly garden is where you basically create a brand that attracts people to you. And especially with online coaching, this is effective because on the internet, people are searching for everything under the sun. And so the key to being able to attract some of that business to you is to get really, really clear about your brand, really clear about your positioning and your niche. Think about your positioning and your niche like the flowers in the butterfly garden that attract your ideal clients. So how do you figure out what that niche is? Step one is taking a look at what I call the superstar sweet spot diagram. So your superstar sweet spot is that perfect combination of these three factors that I'm going to reveal in a moment that basically leads you to this perfect place where you can position and brand yourself so that people come to you. And so marketing over time becomes a lot easier. Now, it takes a little time to use a strategy like this, but I promise you it's worth it. So you can use a combination of this type of more long-term strategy together with more tactical strategies that you can use as well, which, by the way, you can check out in my video, how to market your coaching business. All right, so let's get in here, talk about how to market your online coaching business by first building the brand around your superstar sweet spot. So your sweet spot is the combination of these three factors. The first is really you. And you are, for example, your passions, your interests, your personality. These are the things that are going to make you joyful and energy rich, that you're going to enjoy doing. All right. The second thing you want to think about is the business. So the business is, what's the business value proposition, right? What problem does it solve? And what's the promise of the business, right? So this is where you intersect with the business. And then the third magic ingredient is the market. What does the market need and want? The market gap, right? What is the market gap? Where does the market need your talents and need this solution? Now, one of the biggest problems I see in marketing a coaching business is that people start by looking here instead of by looking here. These are in this order for a reason, because this really is number one, and then this really is number two, and then this really is number three. Although number two and three you can kind of interchange. But the key is you really want to start over here with that internal piece before you go external, because otherwise you could create something that's sellable and it's marketable, but it's not very joyful and energy rich. And who wants to have a business that's not joyful and energy rich? So once you have this piece figured out, What this does is it gives you your keywords, or it gives you some clues as to your keywords that you really need to know so that you can market effectively online. Otherwise, it's like throwing a bunch of stuff on the wall and just seeing what sticks, which online, that could cost you a lot of time and money and energy. So what I recommend doing instead, once you have clarity on your superstar sweet spot, the intersection of these three things, and for example, when I do this, right, I come together and I figure out my superstar sweet spot is helping speakers, authors, coaches, and consultants find ways to monetize their thought leadership through retreats and seminars and events and group coaching programs, right? That's a very specific target. And in fact, I'm writing a book called Small Events, Big Impact, and I do speaking engagements called Small Events, Big Impact, Retreats to Riches. So I have a very narrow focus. So now the thing is, somebody might not use the term, hey, small events, how do I do small events and make a big impact? Chances are nobody's putting my brand words into a keyword search online. But what they might be using is, how do I use retreats to grow my business? Or how can I make money with retreats? So I can now use this knowledge about my sweet spot and go and do keyword research. And once I do keyword research using a tool, for example, like SEMrush, I can find the terms that people are searching for online that are related to my sweet spot, my niche. And then I can take those terms and I can start to create content around those terms. So that's how you probably found me. See, I know my sweet spot. I go type that into YouTube and I find topics like how to grow my online coaching business. And then I come here and I create this content. I use those keywords in the title, and then you get to find me. Because if I choose keywords that don't have a lot of competition, then I can own that space on the internet. And that's the absolute best way that I've found to attract online business. Now, I have a whole video about this strategy and specifically how it applies to YouTube. You can check that out on how to grow my coaching business using YouTube. And I'm gonna get into a few more other strategies, but this is a good foundation so that you can use these keywords on social media. You can use them on your website. You can do blogs. You can do LinkedIn posts. You can do all sorts of different things with this foundation that'll help you market your business for the long haul. So here are a couple of other ideas about how you can grow your business online. Here's one that actually I don't do, but my clients have done, and I've seen it done successfully, and that is using Instagram. Now, the reason I don't use Instagram is because honestly, between you and me, I don't like it. I don't enjoy posting on social media. I'd much rather create content and come here and share it with you this way. But I do have a client, she's an outstanding client. Her name is Brittany Brown. And the way that she used Instagram was she spent about a year actually building up a following around her topic, which was beating binge eating. For about a year, she just spent time building up this audience, developing a relationship with them, all about overcoming the problem of binge eating. Then about a year in, she had already, I think it was 50,000 people who were following her on Instagram, and that's when she introduced her Beating Binge Eating course. And all she had to do was share with this audience of 50,000 that she's now got this course, and a lot of people right off the bat immediately came up and said, I'm interested, I want to do the course. And so that's a great way to use social media, is by building a tribe, building a community of engaged people, and then introducing something to that community. Another great strategy for marketing your online coaching business is to start positioning yourself as a thought leader by being the host of an event in your space. So for example, you could host a virtual conference or a virtual telesummit and invite a lot of experts in your field, all of whom have a list, and ask them to promote the event, or not ask them, require them to, in order to be involved, to promote the event to their lists. And so what that does is if you have, let's say, 20 speakers, each one with a list of say 10 or 20,000 people, and each one promoting to that list, sending them to your landing page online, you can start to build a list of engaged people, people who care about this topic. And then from that event, you've got that email list that you can now market to in the future. So these are just a few ideas of how you can market your online coaching business. If this is a topic that interests you and you want to go even deeper, check out my playlist of how to do online marketing for your coaching business. Enjoy.